Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. Harry in shock after MI6 releases shocking cans footage of Meghan and Harvey Weinstein's hidden secret. The detonation of a crisis that now threatens to consume not just a home in California, but also the very foundations of the British monarchy was caused by a single terrifying comment that was delivered from the frigid walls of a maximum security jail. During a recent retrial interview, the disgraced Hollywood tycoon Harvey Weinstein ignited a spark that had been smoldering for more than a decade. He did this by looking into a camera. "It is important to remember that not everyone is my victim," he started off, a sneer rolling over his lips. "In the wake of my boost, take Meghan. That royal employment is proving to be quite good for her. MI6 is in possession of such videos. Let us watch how long she continues to deny it." With those comments, a well-created narrative of a contemporary fairy tale was pulled apart, and in its place emerged a dark and complicated tapestry of power, surveillance, and ambition. This is the tale of what occurs when the secret ledgers of Hollywood are torn open by the unblinking eye of a spy agency, forcing Buckingham Palace to face a reckoning that they had no idea was coming. The Can tapes tells the story of MI6, an infamous mogul, and the hidden history of a duchess from the Gilded Cage, a ghost appearing. It is necessary to first return to the world that Weinstein formerly dominated in order to have an understanding of the seismic effect that his remark has. Harvey Weinstein was more than just a producer for many years. He was a gravitational force in Hollywood, an empire builder whose whims could catapult an unknown actor into worldwide glory or sentence a promising career to oblivion. He is recognized for his influence in the entertainment industry. The foundation of his dominion was a currency of access, influence, and terror. As the rest of the world would come to understand in the future, his royal chamber was the Cannes Film Festival, which is a spectacular spectacle that takes place on the picturesque French Riviera. During the month of May, the festival is transformed into a theater of power, a high-stakes marketplace where art and business mix in a frenzy of champagne-fueled deal-making. This occurs beneath the warm sun of the Mediterranean. There are yachts that are the size of Navy destroyers lining the port, and their decks are holding parties where the value of whispered talks may be more than the whole budget for a film. The society we live in is one of calculated smiles and concealed intents, where every handshake is an evaluation, and every praise is a possible preamble to a bargain. It is a location where the conventional norms of interaction are suspended, and veteran producers and historians of Hollywood talk of it as a one-of-a-kind environment. When it comes to business, the actual action takes place in the private suites of the Carlton Hotel or the Majestic, far away from the flashbulbs of the red carpet. Indeed, professions are not only debated in this place, rather they are formed, bartered, and even ruined on occasion. It was into this perilous and alluring milieu that a young and aspiring actress by the name of Meghan Markle made her first steps years before she would ever meet a royal. Due to the fact that she was a series regular on the television program Suits, she was a well-known figure, but she was not even close to being on the A-list. K was not a holiday for an actress in her position. Rather, it was a battlefield of opportunity, a chance to be noticed with the potential to network and with the possibility of catching the attention of a kingmaker. Harvey Weinstein was the most powerful monarch of that age, and there was no other dominant figure. Each and every event that he attended produced its own unique energy field. The invitation to one of his elite parties was a symbol of arrival, and the fact that he engaged in conversation with you was a statement to the whole business that you were important. The great knowledge of leverage that Weinstein had contributed to both his brilliance and his curse. He was aware that ambition was a potent driver of behavior, and he was able to use it to his advantage. It was the seduction song of Hollywood, a promise of introductions, of script considerations, of doors opened that were closed to the public. His offer of a boost, as he would later refer to it, was the siren song of Hollywood. Weinstein evaluated potential, seeking for the same unrelenting drive that matched his own. This is an apparent and unspoken dynamic, according to observers who were there throughout that time period. Because he was a gatekeeper, everyone was aware of the fee that was necessary to get through the eye that does not ever slough. Not only did Weinstein claim that he had assisted Meghan, but he also said that the evidence was in the possession of MI6, which is the British Secret Intelligence Service, which is a far more powerful and covert organization than any Hollywood company. The invocation of this illustrious intelligence organization elevated a controversy involving a notorious celebrity to the level of an issue of international intrigue and national security. The thought that the British intelligence agency MI6 would devote resources to monitoring performers at a film festival would seem to the general public as if it were the premise of a spy thriller. The rationale, on the other hand, is analytical, clinical, and completely credible. According to those who have previously served in intelligence and national security positions, as they explain, Ken is a typical example of a convergence point. It is a brief nexus where the most influential people in the world congregate while cloaked in a cloak of luxury and pleasure. In reality, however, it is a breeding ground for intelligence targets under the surface. The hectic and high-security setting of the event serves as a cover for covert meetings between Russian billionaires, Chinese financiers, Middle Eastern weapons dealers, and intelligence agents from dozens of other countries. The preservation of British interests overseas is the major responsibility of MI6. And this task requires the organization of networks of influence, money, and power that may one day be a danger to the United Kingdom. Long before his criminal collapse, Harvey Weinstein would have been a figure of major interest because of the huge worldwide connections he had in the fields of money, media, and politics. It would be necessary for intelligence services to comprehend his network since it was a web. In light of this, it is quite probable that the monitoring did not concentrate on the actress Meghan Markle. It centered on Harvey Weinstein, who served as the central node of a worldwide network. By pretending to be waiters, hotel workers, or security people, agents would have been able to blend in quite well. Because they had been practicing espionage for a century, their tactics would be very effective. Miniature cameras concealed in chandeliers, smoke alarms, or other benign ornamental items would record every contact that took place. Microphones with a high degree of sensitivity are able to pick up murmured talks, even when they are located in a crowded area. There would be documentation, cataloging, and cross-references made for every single handshake, every single lingering gaze, and every single private talk that was shifted to a quiet corner. In the event that Meghan Markle had interacted with a major target, she would have been considered collateral data. Her face, words, and actions would have been recorded in a secret digital archive in London, making her a ghost in the machine. For a considerable amount of time, this film would have been laid inert, a single data point among millions and considered to be unimportant to the immediate security of the country. In the process of gathering material whose significance may not become evident for a decade or perhaps more, intelligence organizations engage in the longest of games. On the other hand, if Meghan Markle had married the sixth in line to the British monarchy, her case would have been marked with the utmost importance. Once a relatively unknown actress, she was now a member of the royal family and had the title of Duchess of Sussex. It would have been an issue of national security to discover her previous relationships, her weaknesses, and any possibility for compromise within the highest levels of the British establishment. The presence of the tape from Cannes would have been known to take place. And now, with Weinstein's public admission and the following inexplicable release of bits of this film, a disturbing issue arises. In the event that this leak occurred, was it an accident or was it a warning? Intelligence sources have indicated that a leak of this sensitive information is nearly never the result of an accident. A strategic release is a weaponized secret that is used to deliver a message, to exercise leverage, or to remind a public figure that the past is never fully buried. It is a weaponized secret. The abomination that is a boost, an image that was more detailed and more distressing developed when details of the claimed film from MI6 started to circulate via covert channels. According to a number of sensationalist titles, the content is not a crude or graphic film with explicit content. The impact of this thing resides in the unsettling ambiguity that it has, which captures the delicate and nuanced dance of power and ambition that occurs in its natural environment. The setting is a private party that takes place in a huge suite at a five-star hotel in Cannes. According to insiders who claim to have seen the recordings in their uncut form, there is a sense of casual exclusivity about the environment. The grace with which Meghan Markle moves around the room belies the fact that she is a relative outsider in the audience. Not only does she engage in conversation, but she also seems to be constantly scanning the room as if she is aware of the unseen hierarchies that are at play. She is polished, attentive, and strategic. When Weinstein begins to approach her, the dynamic begins to change. She becomes the focus of his attention, and he is the center of gravity in the relationship. They are supposedly having a discussion that lasts for close to 20 minutes, and it is a lesson in subtext. Experts in body language who have reviewed reports of the film have made note of the essential nonverbal indicators. The position that Weinstein adopts is one of dominance as she occupies her area. At a certain point, he rests his hand on her lower arm, a move that is not obviously violent, but which remains for a fraction of a second longer than it should. This gesture is a subtle expression of ownership and control. A crucial point is that Meghan does not recoil. Instead, she is characterized as deftly maneuvering the situation, smiling, and bringing the topic back to issues pertaining to her professional life. Specifically, it is the response of a woman who has acquired the skills necessary to handle unwelcome approaches in a predatory sector without alienating a person who is in charge of her future. One can hear Weinstein speaking in a low conspiratorial tone saying, "You have got something unusual, Meghan." The audio, which is apparently crisper in the latter sections of their interaction, shows the spirit of the boost. Actual presence is required. On the other hand, this community is filled with talent that does not play intelligently. It is believed that her reaction is similarly telling. "You need someone who can unlock the doors that remain locked for everyone else," she replied. The tone of her voice is calm and controlled, as she responds, "I appreciate that, Harvey. It was a lesson I had to learn the hard way that nothing is possible without planning. You can count on me to put in the effort for any chance." Specifically, this conversation is the crux of the situation. Although it is a scene of transaction, it is not a scenario of coercion. The discussion is conducted in a low-key manner with the intention of offering influence and acknowledging ambition. The video depicts a lady escaping a dangerous meeting with a known predator by using her wits and calm to negotiate the situation. Her defenders believe that this is evidence of her survival. In order to play the game, she is adhering to the rules that are provided to her. On the other hand, the film gives the impression of complicity to her detractors as well as perhaps to a public that has been taught to be skeptical. Instead of portraying her as a victim, it recasts her story as one of a deliberate player in a system that she was fully aware of and understood. An affiliation with a strong but dangerous guy was a risk worth taking, a required cost of entrance to the highest levels of achievement, as shown in this work, which depicts a picture of relentless ambition. The potency of the film lies in the fact that it lends credence to both interpretations, thus sowing the seeds of eternal uncertainty. The initial, more straightforward explanation is rendered hard to trust ever again as a result of this clever leak, which does precisely what a sophisticated leak is intended to do. It does not directly answer the question, a calculated detonation from the confines of the prison. It was out of desperation and fueled by a toxic combination of selfishness and hatred that Harvey Weinstein made the choice to launch this bomb. He has now engaged in his last and most desperate creation, which is the rewriting of his own legacy from his jail cell, where he has been robbed of his power, fortune, and reputation. This is a typical strategy for a fallen narcissistic personality. According to legal analysts and forensic psychologists who have researched his case, they say that their findings support this theory. When confronted with the overwhelming truth of his views, the only way for him to maintain power is to distort the narrative that the public is communicating. It is impossible for him to erase his sins, but he may make an effort to confuse the situation and give the impression that the tale is more convoluted than the public perceives it to be. He selected his target with surgical precision by focusing on Meghan Markle as the individual of interest. Undoubtedly, she is one of the most well-known and controversial ladies in the whole globe. A further point to consider is that her worldwide brand, which she developed in collaboration with Prince Harry, is based on a meticulously crafted story of victimization, of triumphing against a hostile press and a heartless royal institution. The empowered survivor is the one she is. At the very core of this identity, Weinstein's assertion is a threat. He proposes an alternate narrative which states that Meghan was not a victim of a strong system. Rather, she was a master of it, a player who used him and his position as a stepping stone to something far more significant. It is with a sad irony that he makes the declaration, she is prospering with that royal job. Even while he, the kingmaker, is in ruins, she, his former protégé, has risen to a level of worldwide power that he could only dream of for himself. It is easy to feel the bitterness that is barely there. One of the most brilliant examples of psychological warfare is his invocation of MI6. His assertion is given an aura of authority that cannot be refuted by this. Additionally, he is asserting that a Western government has verifiable photographic evidence. So, this is not simply his word against hers. In either case, he is either carrying out an audacious bluff, knowing that the mere hint of its existence is enough to do irreparable harm, or he is quite certain that the film exists and that it supports his account of the events. He is making a public taunt by saying, "Let us see how long she rejects it." He is challenging the Duchess and her strong public relations staff to join in the debate, knowing that any denial would now be greeted with a demand from all over the world to see the supposed proof. In addition, the timing is really special. In the midst of his current legal challenges, this narrative presents as a significant opportunity for diversion. There is a change in the media's attention from his criminal activities to Meghan's history. Instead of focusing on the harsh realities of his convictions, it compels journalists and the general public to discuss the complexities of ambition and complicity in Hollywood, which is a subject that is far more murky. From the dreary seclusion of his cell, Weinstein has once again managed to make himself a key figure in a worldwide drama, acting as a puppet master, tugging strings from behind bars. What a remarkable accomplishment. The fact is that he has already accomplished a big win. Regardless of whether his assertions are accurate, fraudulent, or a twisted blend of both, he has inflicted pain on his intended victim, caused a disruption in the news cycle, and brought to the attention of the world the fact that even a confined monster may still bite. In the House of Windsor, the fallout that occurred within the stone walls of Buckingham Palace and the manicured lawns of Montecito, the shock waves that were caused by Weinstein's speech have generated a crisis that is more extensive than any other catastrophe that has ever occurred. This would be a nightmarish situation for the British monarchy, which is an institution that has been founded on centuries of history, mystery, and the careful manipulation of public opinion that has been carefully managed. Insiders inside the royal household have reported a calm and orderly state of terror. The traditional palace script of stoic quiet or carefully phrased words is not going to be effective in handling this crisis, since it is not a scenario that has occurred before. It combines the poisonous junction of Hollywood, the Hashmeto movement, and the secretive realm of national intelligence, which is a combination that has never been considered before and is very combustible. The harm to the institution's credibility is the principal worry of officials at the institution. In this day and age, the monarchy's continued existence is contingent upon its capacity to maintain its position of superiority above the sleazy milieu of celebrity culture and political intrigue. The allegations that the Duchess of Sussex, a prominent member of the family, may have a compromising history that has been recorded by Britain's very own intelligence agency, are very damaging. Not only does it encourage the public to doubt the judgment of the Duchess, but it also encourages them to question the judgment of the prince who chose to marry her and accordingly the institution that welcomed her. In spite of the fact that the controversy does not have an immediate effect on the transfer of power, constitutional scholars have observed that it has a significant negative influence on the soft power and popular standing of the monarchy at a crucial moment in the reign of King Charles III. According to reports, the issue has caused Prince Harry and the royal family to become even more apart from one another on a more intimate level. Prince Harry is reportedly incandescent with wrath, according to sources close to the Sussexes. He is angry at Weinstein, furious at the media for propagating the story, and furious at the dark sections of the British establishment, who he feels are weaponizing his wife's history in order to ruin her. In spite of this, there is a terrible reckoning that is supposedly taking place beneath the rage. It is clear that there is a basic issue of trust, since the insider asserts that Harry is questioning how much of a pre-royal life he genuinely grasped. It is true that every partnership has a past, but when the history of one spouse is said to involve sensitive intelligence files and affiliations with one of the most renowned characters of the 21st century, it adds a degree of complexity that has the potential to strain any relationship. When it comes to Prince William and King Charles, the position is one of familial loyalty versus the need to represent the institution. The desire to safeguard the crown from additional controversy on the one hand and the emotional tie to a son and brother on the other have put them in a difficult situation. The tactic that the palace is using at the moment is one of containment. However, due to the nature of this leak, it is very difficult to get it contained. When it comes to the narrative, it is not about what the Duchess did or did not do. Rather, it is about whether or not the video in question really exists. The cloud of suspicion will continue to remain endlessly until either the release of that tape in its entirety or the demonstration that it is a fabrication becomes available. The controversy has the potential to become a persistent wound, a lifelong stain on the public life of the Sussexes, and a perpetual source of vulnerability for the monarchy that they have chosen to leave behind. It is a jarring reminder that when a person marries into the House of Windsor, their history is no longer their own. It becomes a part of a national tale, and it is subject to the most intense analysis that comes to mind. Contemporary fairy tale truths revealed. The Can audio may have destroyed Meghan and Harry's post-royal empire's narrative. Their brand, carefully crafted via interviews, videos, and charity contributions, is based on authenticity, resilience, and telling power brokers the truth. It depicts them as modern iconoclasts who deserted a repressive and outdated institution to live a meaningful and honest life. This disagreement fundamentally affects that organization. Meghan's smart negotiation with Harvey Weinstein suggests a more nuanced, maybe cynical story. It portrays her aims as a ruthless and single-minded pursuit of power and rank before her role as queen. Weinstein's accusation raises a painful question. Was her marriage to Prince Harry the conclusion of a love tale or the last best move in a Hollywood-filled career strategy? This problem, long marginalized in the anti-Sussex debate, has recently taken center stage. The ambiguity of the alleged video allows the audience to put their own preconceptions onto it, widening the cultural divide surrounding the Duchess of Cambridge. This has major commercial implications for Sussex. Charity and business partners fight on image and reputation. Even a historical personality like Weinstein is toxic to one's image. Stopping projects re-evaluates transactions and reduces public support. Crisis management is hard. Silence means enabling allegations to develop. Denials are like questioning a roll of film in a vault, and they risk being shown a liar if the accuser is revealed. The terrible conclusion pits old world nobility, new world stars, and the shadow world of intelligence against lethal power. This epic depicts the tragedy's conclusion. A humiliated business magnate's thirst for payback has turned quiet whispers from a can suite in the sun into a global clamor. The tape's whole viewing is unimportant. No turning back. There is ambiguity. And the actress who became Duchess is now intimately tied to her past. In the high-stakes game of power and perception, secrets are seldom private. The harsh global spotlight led to this conclusion. They are just weapons ready to fire. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and goodbye for now. Okay.